automakers and governments around the globe are poised to move electric vehicles in and gas and diesel vehicles out. The electric vehicle megatrend is unfolding, and insiders know the time to get in on nickel and cobalt, the two critical elements to electric car batteries, already in high demand, is now. Don't miss this chance to get in on the opportunity to invest in physical Class 1 nickel and cobalt before the mass market catches on. Go to www.silverbullion.com.sg/EV and participate in the electric vehicle revolution. Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Silver Bullion Television SBTV. I'm your host, Patrick Vieira. This is our monthly market update as it pertains to electric vehicle metals, particularly nickel and cobalt. Despite the downturn in both metals, news keeps pouring in, offering a promising upside. And as many of you already know, governments around the world are phasing out gas or petrol and diesel engines in favor of electric vehicles, and auto manufacturers around the world are spending billions in factories and, of course, lithium, cobalt, and nickel. And it's not just the giants who are switching over to manufacturing electric vehicles. It's also newcomers moving into the electric vehicle space, as we see here, British technology company Dyson to build electric cars in Singapore. From Channel News Asia, British technology company Dyson says it will build its electric cars in Singapore with a new automotive manufacturing facility set for completion in 2020 ahead of the first electric vehicle launch later that year. The electric car plant is part of Dyson's $3.3 billion global investment drive in new technology. Dyson, founded by the billionaire British inventor of the bagless vacuum cleaner James Dyson, announced its plans to build an electric car a little over a year ago, a sector in which the company will face stiff competition from established players. Electric vehicles are increasing in popularity as governments worldwide drive forward plans to gradually phase out polluting petrol and diesel cars. Dyson told AFP in an interview earlier this year that electric cars were already available to order. The company said that its 2017 operating profit surged by almost one-third, aided by fast growth in China, India, Japan, Korea, and Taiwan. Revenues leapt 40% to £3.5 billion. Now, with another new player coming in and looking for market share, we can safely assume there will be more added pressure for the demand of nickel and cobalt, two of the key components in electric vehicle lithium-ion batteries. Now, the battery is everything in the electric vehicle, and as such, auto giant Mercedes-Benz has recently broke ground on a new battery factory for electric vehicles in the US. From electric.co, Mercedes-Benz breaks ground on a new battery factory for electric vehicles in the US. Mercedes-Benz makes good on its previously announced $1 billion investment to bring electric vehicle manufacturing in the US, starting with breaking ground on a new battery factory in Alabama. The German automaker recently held a ceremony to launch the construction of the factory, which is located 7 miles from the Mercedes-Benz Cars vehicle production site in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Marcus Schaefer, member of the divisional board of Mercedes-Benz Cars production and supply chain, attended the ceremony and said the widely export-oriented Mercedes-Benz plant in Tuscaloosa is a high-tech production facility with a successful history and an exciting future in terms of our brand in the United States. We aim to play a pioneering role in the development of e-mobility and are well prepared to accomplish this mission. 1 year ago, we have announced $1 billion in investment in Tuscaloosa, mostly for the production of electric SUVs and a battery plant. We are bringing electric mobility for Mercedes-Benz to the United States. Around the globe, we are preparing 6 sites for production of EQ models, and our battery network will consist of 8 factories. Staying with factories that are being built, from Channel News Asia, South Korea's SK Innovation to invest $354 million in an EV battery parts plant in China. South Korea's SK Innovation said it plans to invest 400 billion won or $354 million USD to build a plant for key parts of electric car batteries in China as part of its effort to better compete in the world's largest electric vehicle market. The plant will make separators for lithium-ion batteries and ceramic coatings, Construction is expected to begin early next year in the southeastern city of Changzhou, with production starting in the second half of 2020. SK Innovation currently runs a factory in South Korea that produces the materials, which ensure stability and bolster power output. The decision is to keep pace with global EV battery makers' capacity increases in China and Europe and to cater to client demands for stable supplies, a company official said in a statement. The announcement comes a week after SK Innovation, which owns South Korea's top refiner and a unit of the country's number 3 conglomerate, said it is considering building an electric vehicle battery plant in the United States. In August, the firm said it planned to build an electric vehicle battery factory in China by 2019 under a joint venture with BAIC Motor and Beijing Electronics. It's also building a battery plant in Hungary. We're coming across news of plants being built for electric vehicles or their batteries and battery components in more numbers at breakneck speeds, and battery manufacturers for electric vehicles is ramping up, and so is supply. From Bloomberg, world's top miner embracing the boom in electric car batteries. BHP Billiton is boosting sales of top-quality nickel that's needed for electric vehicle batteries, another sign the world's biggest miner is targeting more opportunities in the booming sector. Sales of refined nickel, a category that includes the premium products used for battery production, jumped 18% in 3 months to September 30 from a year earlier. The company has begun offering more detailed data on nickel and cobalt production amid investors' interest in its exposure to the rise of EVs. BHP's Nickel West operation in Western Australia is aiming to sell 90% of output to the battery sector by the end of the year, switching away from a traditional customer base in the stainless steel market. Laboratory tests are also developing methods to produce cobalt sulfate, another key material for rechargeable batteries. BHP is seeking to sell 90% of nickel to the battery sector by the end of 2019. The nickel sector is becoming a two-tiered market, with a weaker outlook for materials bound for the stainless steel industry and robust demand growth in the EV sector that'll support prices, says Goldman Sachs Group. In a note of caution, though, Russia's nickel mining giant MMC, Norilsk Nickel, sees EV-related demand slowing somewhat in 2019 as some countries cut subsidies to the vehicles. The market hasn't made up its mind about how big a deal batteries will be for nickel, but there's a lot of bullish forecasts out there. BHP already supplies battery manufacturers, including Panasonic, the partner of Tesla, and is studying an expansion plan that would make Nickel West the world's biggest supplier of nickel sulfate. Longer-term options could see the unit combine cobalt and nickel materials to develop an intermediate product for the battery supply chain that would command a higher premium. And following the demand for Class 1 nickel, Reuters reports China battery firm set up $700 million nickel joint venture in Indonesia. Chinese battery firm GEM said it was teaming up with 4 companies to invest a total of $700 million in a project to produce battery-grade nickel chemicals in Indonesia. The investment comes as several global metals producers have also set their sights on Indonesia's nickel reserves, looking to tap an expected surge in demand for the battery metal from the electric vehicle sector. They aim to establish nickel smelting capacity of at least 50,000 tons per year at Tsingshan's Industrial Park in Morowali on the Indonesian island of Sulawesi. The project will also have 4,000 tons of cobalt smelting capacity, as well as churning out a range of battery chemicals, including 50,000 tons per year of nickel hydroxide intermediates. The Shenzhen-based GEM is best known as a battery recycler, but in March announced a deal to buy around 1/3 of Glencore's cobalt production over the next 3 years. It has previously been linked with a move for a stake in Vale's Goro nickel cobalt mine in New Caledonia. Separately, GEM in Tsingshan held a groundbreaking ceremony for a joint venture plant in Ningde in southeastern China's Fujian province, which will produce 70,000 tons per year of battery metals. Now, a lot of the electric vehicle refining for nickel and cobalt centers in the Asian region. However, Europe, due to upcoming regulations regarding the push for electric vehicles, has been coming on strong of late by combining forces. The Business Times reports BASF, Nornickel, joined forces in electric vehicle battery push. Germany's BASF and Russia's Norilsk Nickel, or Nornickel, have signed a nickel and cobalt supply deal to address growing demand for batteries to power electric vehicles. The agreement between BASF and Nornickel, the world's second-largest nickel producer and a major cobalt maker, highlights the burgeoning market for metals needed for battery production. It could also provide fresh impetus to European efforts to create local battery cell manufacturing capacity, a market that is so far dominated by Chinese and South Korean firms. Part of the deal is a long-term supply agreement for Nornickel and cobalt feedstocks, while BASF will build a plant to produce battery metals in Finland, adjacent to a nickel and cobalt refinery owned by Nornickel. Cobalt is the key ingredient in the batteries that power electric vehicles. The move is part of BASF's plan to invest up to 400 million euros as a first step in building production plants for cathode materials in Europe, which are key for storing electric energy in lithium-ion batteries. With the investment in Chargefox, BASF will be present in all major regions with local production and increased customer proximity, further supporting the rapidly growing electric vehicle market, said Kenneth Lane, president of BASF's Catalyst division. Startup of the Chargefox plant, which will be able to supply the materials for batteries for about 300,000 electric vehicles a year, is planned for late 2020. BASF currently produces nickel manganese cobalt oxide cathode materials in Elyria, Ohio, and lithium nickel cobalt aluminum oxide cathode materials, which are used in Tesla cars at its BASF Toda Battery Materials joint venture with Toda Kogyo in Japan. In this market, it competes with Europe's Umicore and Johnson Matthey, as well as a range of Chinese suppliers including Beijing, Eastspring, and Ningbo Shanshan. Brokerage Liberum estimated earlier this year that cathode materials alone could account for roughly 25% of the total battery cost, depending on the price of cobalt and nickel. All in all, we're seeing battery manufacturing and production capabilities ramping up, mining demand for nickel and cobalt ramping up, electric vehicles are on the way, and the world is preparing and on the move. And there's one more industry that will also lead the charge for electric vehicles, and you guessed it, it's the charging technology industry. From the Business Times, Australia startup Chargefox promises electric car charging in just 15 minutes. It will take just 15 minutes for Australians to fire up their electric cars for long-distance road trips at a proposed national network of charging stations. Sydney-based startup Chargefox Pty is planning 21 sites across major interstate freeways that will cut hours from the time it currently takes to charge a standard electric vehicle. The renewable power stations will deliver up to 400 kilometers of range. Our network of ultra-rapid charging stations will play a significant part in improving the infrastructure of this economy, of this country, and remove one of the major barriers that limits the adoption of EVs, said Marty Andrews, Chief Executive Officer of Chargefox. Chargefox has secured $15 million from private investors and the government to build the charging stations, which will have a capacity of up to 350 kilowatts, according to the statement. It's competing with Fast Cities, backed by coal baron Trevor St. Baker, which plans to build a network of similar capacity stations from Cairns in the north to Adelaide in the south. And that's the October 2018 market update for electric vehicle metals. Things are quickly moving into place with the growth and demand of electric vehicles, and they have to meet government-imposed regulations all throughout the world. Electric vehicles are coming into the fold, and auto manufacturers are scrambling to buy battery metals years into the future. Refineries are being built globally to meet the demand of nickel and cobalt for electric vehicle batteries. And at Silver Bullion, we have physical nickel and cobalt for investors looking to have price exposure for the two metals that will be in increasingly high global demand. Please visit our website, www.silverbullion.com.sg/EV for more info. And that's the market update for this month. Take care, everyone. Excited about the opportunities in the coming electric vehicle revolution and looking to invest in this electrification supercycle? Demand for battery metals like nickel and cobalt is expected to rise in tandem with the increase in demand for lithium-ion batteries in electric vehicles. You can now buy nickel and cobalt parcels with Silver Bullion and have a direct price exposure to both battery metals. You have the option to buy 2-ton nickel parcels or 250-kilogram cobalt drums. Every parcel will be fully insured against loss and guaranteed to be genuine by Silver Bullion. Selling your parcels to lock in profits is as simple as logging into your Silver Bullion account, selecting the parcels, and clicking Sell. Buy your nickel and cobalt parcels now at Silver Bullion's website www.silverbullion.com.sg/EV and participate in the electric vehicle revolution.
Interested but have questions? Email us at sales@silverbullion.com.sg or give us a call at +65 6100 3040.